Hi guys, how's everybody doing? We are shortly going into the new moon of Sagittarius. Yay! Tuesday, November 14th is the day we enter into lunar Sagittarius, okay? The new moon of Sagittarius. So, what do we have in store for us? Remember, every constellation, and we do this every month, every constellation that occurs, it is affecting all of us. Whether you are born under that constellation or not, it's important to know that each one of us have all 12 constellations within us in our consciousness. And they act as filtering systems between us and the force of creation. Remember, we said in our previous class of astrology, reincarnation, and karma, if you go back to that video, that was a couple of weeks ago, we have the light, the force of creation. Then we have, of course, the past lifetimes for which we need to correct certain karma. We have the constellations that filter out different aspects according to the time, place, and the month that we are born, etc. It filters out certain things, and certain things are more clear, and we're feeling the energy from them, and other things are blocked off. And therefore, when we're blocked off from something, we react to it in a way of lack, and we need to work it out. And that's kind of the process. So while we are not working for the constellations, we don't follow astrology per se. In other words, meaning, what does that mean? It means, now it's the month of Sagittarius, I must act a certain way, or I'm a this, and I do these things because I'm a Gemini, or because I'm a Taurus, or because I'm a Capricorn, and this is how I am. No, that means you're a slave, and that's called idol worship. No, we want to know the characteristics according to the Kabbalah. It's important to learn the characteristics of each constellation. Why? So we know what our spiritual work is, where our positives are, and the things we need to improve karmically so that we can rise above to create power of miracles in our life. And this month is a great example of that, because this month of Sagittarius contains the power of miracles and wonders, as we call it. That's what it has. It's the force of its nature. You know, if you've ever heard that Sagittarians are naturally lucky people, well, there is some truth to that. That doesn't mean every Sagittarian is, born lucky, but they do have potentially a natural mazal, or some kind of natural luck very often. Let's understand what this is about, where it comes from, and what is the internal essence of Sagittarius that we can all benefit from. Because that's what we want every month. We want to benefit from the energy that constellation can provide all of us. So we know the month of Sagittarius is ruled by planet Jupiter. Now, the planet Jupiter, every constellation according to Abraham the Patriarch, in the Book of Formation, one of the first known writings of Kabbalah and also astrology, because Abraham was a master astrologer, it says that the letters that influence, or the cosmic forces, which we call Aramaic or Hebrew letters, are the forms or forces that control or that influence. That, in other words, it's the energy vibration that is the influence of the constellation and the planet that rules that constellation. So whereas the planet Jupiter is responsible or gives the force or the energy to Sagittarius, and Pisces, So it covers two constellations, Sagittarius and Pisces. Both have certain similarities that come from the energy of Jupiter, which I won't go into detail of that, but both include some force of miracles that occur in both those months. And therefore, in the month of Sagittarius, we have this event called the Hanukkah. Now, Hanukkah is not necessarily only a Jewish thing. the Kabbalists explain these events as cosmic openings for anybody to be able to draw down certain spiritual forces. And we'll get to that in a moment. In Pisces, we have this event called Purim, which also has something very unique, which relates to miracles or some crazy occurrences that happen in the scroll of Esther in the story that are way beyond the natural. It's the supernatural and it's outside of nature. And the same with Sagittarius and the Hanukkah story. Okay? So we'll get to that in a minute. There's a parallel there, obviously. And where does it come from? What's the origin? But the point here is we can draw down that energy. The energy to be able to go outside of nature. And miracles are easy to connect to, but you do need to be willing to fight for it. Now, I'll get to that as well. So, all right. So what's known about Sagittarius? Simply, one word, I think sums it up. Challenge. Sagittarians definitely, again, for the most part, I'm not saying there's no rules here, but they tend to live for the challenge. In other words, if there's a challenge involved, they're interested. Doesn't always have to be positive, okay? Sometimes negative things are also challenging and they will go there. But we're discussing here positive challenges. So whether it's, something that they choose to do because they have a desire for it and there's challenge involved, they will love to overcome that challenge. So they enjoy a nice challenge. What is challenge in essence? It's the middle of the process between a desire and the end, the manifestation, or the payoff at the end. What's in the middle? Generally, the effort that's required. And the effort that's required is the challenge. So as long as I have a goal which includes a challenge in the middle, I like it. But sometimes what happens with Sagittarius is when there's no more challenge, or when it becomes easy, or when I believe that I've mastered it, I might get bored. Okay? And I might look for a new challenge. Now, that can be positive and that can be negative, as everything can. Okay? If it's in a relationship, well, that might not be too positive. If you're bored with your relationship because there's no more challenge, and now you're looking for something else just because there's no challenge, that's not a positive. Okay? So we'll explain what does it really mean. Now, as we were saying, the planet Jupiter is ruled by the letter Gimel. I'm going to put it over here. The letter Gimel is responsible for Jupiter. It is the essence of the energy behind. Now, if you look at that letter, look how it's formed. It almost looks like it's taking a step forward, putting its best foot forward. And that's the energy. In fact, this energy of Jupiter is this force behind the energy of what we call miracles, because it's forward and it's also outside with the help of the constellation, the letter of the constellation which rules this month, which is called Samech, the letter Samech. Now, when you put these two letters together, you get numerically, and I don't want to get too complicated, in gematria, in numerology, 63. The Samech is 60, the Gimel is 3, together 63. And 63, for a Kabbalist, is a code. It's a code for one of the spiritual levels of the tree of life, which is called Bina. Bina is part of the upper 3 Sefirot, and it's the upper part of the tree of life, and it is part of the source of energy of creation. What does that mean for us? What does it mean in Sagittarius? Well, if we were to explain a little bit of the consciousness behind Bina, Bina is the force that desires to be as the creator. It says, if it can talk, in its consciousness, it says, I want to be like the creator. Now, what that means in common terms, and I don't want to go into the deeper study here, of course, but in a deeper understanding, in a practical way, what that really means is, I want to be like the fulfillment that I seek. I want to be that. So, while, I may come from a very foreign country as a child and I don't know what an iPhone is. So now I move to the US and every kid has an iPhone. Now I see an iPhone and what do I say to mom? Mom, I want that. I want that. I want an iPhone too. So if iPhone is the fulfillment, what am I really saying? I want to be like that. I want to be like that. Fulfillment means I want to have that. But Bina, in the purest sense of creation, means, wait a second, I'm not happy to just receive from the force of creation, the source, the ultimate source of the creator light, the creative force. I want to be like that. In other words, I want to be godlike in the sense of creation. So I want to create. I want to create my fulfillment. And in this secret, we have the energy behind Sagittarius. Sagittarius says, I'm a creator. I'm born to be a creator, and I want to create. Now, the energy of Sagittarius is actually more or less the opposite of every other constellation. And why is that? Because Sagittarius is living for the process. Most constellations, if not all the other 11, live for the end of the process. In other words, if you look at young children, young children playing with each other and one has a stick or they're doing something, and they're all saying, oh, give it, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it. And they may be fighting with each other that each one wants to do it. But of course, we get older. As adults, what happens? As adults, we back off maybe at some point from doing it. We're happy to pay someone else to do it. And we want to maybe relax. Less movement. I just want the payoff. Okay? So the principle of doing it means the process. The process. So when we have desires, we want right away the nature, we know we need to work for it. We know we need to do something. But our consciousness is focused on the end of the game. That's not Sagittarius. Sagittarius is focused on the process. And one of the main principles of Kabbalah is the vessel is created in the process, never in the end. Very important. The vessel that will hold my fulfillment is within the process of creation. Creation means the creation of the place to receive my fulfillment. That's what it means. So it's almost like, we all resist creation to some degree. We try to skip steps. We try to get, maybe instant gratification. What's the problem with instant gratification? Which we love in the way that we like it. Whether it's food, whether it's sex, whether it's, time, whether it's comfort in life or pleasures in life, whatever it is. If there's an opportunity to opt for instant gratification, we get angry. That's an instant gratification. We didn't get what we wanted, or we're jealous, or we're insecure, or whatever. We respond to emotional stimuli. Instant gratification, I want that. I want to be satisfied now, without really realizing that, wait a second. If you bypass a creative process, there will be negative consequences, meaning that there's no benefit in instant gratification. Yeah, you have a high, but every high has a low. You'll go down, and there's also negativity that comes along with that, without going into those details at the moment. So we have to understand, creative process, a creative process that we need in our life comes from Sagittarius for the rest of the year. So if we want to tap into the energy of creative process, this is the month to do it. To be able to tap into that energy, which means I want to always be able, in whatever I do, to be able to tap in to creative process. Because why? Because I want the energy that is the result of this thing. I don't want to bypass. What does that mean in plain language? Well, I want to be fit. I've been saying I want to go to the gym for 2 years already, and I still haven't made it to the gym yet. So what does that mean? Well, Sagittarius, the constellation and the energy of Sagittarius offers what? The energy to be able to go and to start working out creative process. Now, once you begin to build those muscles, don't be bored. Don't give it up. You make a little progress. You begin to get the payoff. No, don't give it up. Keep it. Keep the creative process. Now, that's especially important for those born in this constellation. Don't be bored. Go to a new level of process, a deeper level of process. That's what we want in Sagittarius. So, two things: tapping into the creative process in order to be like the light of fulfillment that I desire in my life. That's one thing. And that's the letters of the month that indicate it's the force of Bina, and Bina is the energy store of what? Of the force of creation. In our life, that means tapping in to the full force of creative process. But in a higher level, it also pushes us. It's a push. It can push us to do things that are outside the box. And that's why you might find, if you're a Sag, or in the month of Sag, that, what they say about people who are Sag, they have no tact because they shoot. It's the archer shooting the arrows, right? They shoot arrows. What do you mean arrows? What are these arrows? Shooting energy. Now, sometimes without thinking. Okay, that's the downside. Don't think, speak, without maybe tact, without thinking, without figuring it out first, acting first. That has, again, its plus and its minus. What is the story of the miracles in Hanukkah? Well, I won't go into the whole idea, but the idea is what happened. Small group of the priestly family overcame the entire Greek army. If you don't understand that, read the Hanukkah story, okay? It's the story, but it's the codes, it's the secret behind the story. How is it that a small group of people overcame an entire Greek army? That's a crazy thing. But one of the things that we learn is they made a crazy decision, something that only a Sagittarius would do. No, we're going against an army. What? You're crazy. Don't you want to think about that? No, Sagittarius doesn't want to think first, necessarily. They want to just go for it. Go for it. Now, that's the energy that we want. We want to go for it. When? When it's not comfortable. When it's not comfortable for us. Because the rule is, remember, when there's something we need to do, when we've been procrastinating, when we've been putting things off and things that we need to do, when opportunities come along and they're not easy for us, but we know we need to do them, don't think. Just do it. That's where this term fits in. Just do it. Be the Sagittarius. Draw down Sagittarius energy. No thinking. Why? Because if you begin to stop and think about it, you won't do it. So don't think. When it comes to positive action, when it comes to overcoming your discomfort, when you feel you're about to procrastinate, just do it. When there's a positive action of sharing or helping someone, don't think. Do it. Of course, each situation has its own ramifications, of course. But as a general rule, don't think too much when your nature is, let me think about it, and let me mull it over, and let me discuss it. Sometimes these opportunities don't come twice, okay? And I'm talking about the personal issues, right? When I was starting off in my teaching, the worst thing in the world for me was public speaking, okay? And I learned, I had to just jump. I had to get out there, because if I began to think, there's no way I will ever do that, get in front of people and start opening my mouth. So, and it's possible for a Sagittarian to also get lost in the lack of the month, which is the opposite. Not to go for it when you need to go for it. Stop and be thinking too much thinking, and we think ourselves right out of the action altogether. And that's not what we want, especially in the month of Sagittarius. That mentality, in general, is what creates miracles. Why? Because when it's outside of our nature, and again, especially, we have to know ourselves. What's our nature? What's outside our nature? When something is outside of our nature, and we jump, and we go out of it, and we jump out of it, and we don't think, we just do it, because we know this is what needs to happen. We create miracle energy. That's what a miracle is. In Hebrew, miracle is nes. It comes from the word lanus in Hebrew, which means run away. What do you need to run away from? Run away from your nature of your comfort zone. And when we do that, we tap into the energy that contains miracles and wonders. That is what's available for us this month in the month of Sagittarius. Be blessed, everyone. And I wish blessings all month, the blessings to be able to tap in to this force, this amazing force of miracles and wonders that are available to all of us in the month of Sagittarius. All the best. All the best.